but why is it gross? Hello internet! Today I am here to do my spring book haul. So this is basically all of the books I bought from about mid-March through the end of May, because I did my winter book haul sometime during mid-March. And I have 13 books to share with you today, so let's jump on in. My first trip to the bookstore was because I wanted to get some new books from Barnes & Noble. There was a new release that I was excited about, and that book was Obsidio by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. This is the third book in the Illuminae Files trilogy. I've already read it. If you want to know my thoughts, check out my May wrap-up. But yeah, I decided I needed to go pick this up so I could get started reading it, even though it took a little bit before I actually did start reading it. Sounds about right. And I was really excited to have this book in my possession. While I was at Barnes & Noble, I had a coupon, so I talked myself into buying more than one book because I'm me. And so I also decided to get Beneath the Sugar Sky by Shauna Maguire, and this is the third book in the Wayward Children's series. For those of you who don't know, the first book in this series is Every Heart a Doorway, and it's been fairly popular on BookTube. It's about children who have come back from different portal worlds. So portal worlds being like Narnia, Neverland, Oz, Wonderland, places like that. And them coming back to the real world and just kind of not handling it well. And so they all kind of end up going to the school together. So this is the third book. I believe this is supposed to be more of a direct sequel from the first book, whereas the second book in this series, Down Among the Sticks and Bones, is more of a prequel story. I'm really excited about this. I've loved the first two books, and I hear this one is really great too, and I plan on reading it very, very soon. Next, I have another new release that I was super excited to pick up, so I decided to get it while I was at Target one day. And that book is Children of Blood and Bone by Tomi Adeyemi. And I haven't read this yet. I'm really looking forward to it though, because I haven't heard people on BookTube shut up about it since it came out, because apparently it's that good. I believe it is a fantasy story that is supposed to be kind of based on African folklore or something like that. I've heard nothing but good things about it, and can we talk about how beautiful this cover is? And also, Under the Dust Jacket, like holy crap, this is a beautiful book. I'm really excited to read it. Then I ended up taking a trip to McKay's, which is my local used bookstore here in Nashville, whenever my mom was here visiting, and I sold some books and other things. And of course I've got some new books while I was there. So the first one is My Not So Perfect Life by Sophie Kinsella. This is one of her adult contemporaries. I don't know a whole lot about the plot of this one. I think it has something to do with the main character like showing that her life is one way online versus how it actually is in real life or something like that. I have only read one book by Sophie Kinsella, which was Finding Audrey, and since that was her YA book, I'm really looking forward to trying out one of her adult books, and this one just looks super cute, so I am excited to give it a try. I also picked up A Clash of Kings by George R. R. Martin, which is the second book in the A Song of Ice and Fire series. I was almost finished up with reading A Game of Thrones, so I decided to go ahead and pick up the second book for whenever I'm ready to dive into it. And since I bought the first one in mass market way back in the day, I decided to just keep going. It's fine. I also picked up a fairly popular book here on BookTube, and that is Falling Kingdoms by Morgan Rhodes. This is a YA high fantasy series. I don't even know how many books are in this series. I want to say it's around like 6 maybe, and I believe the final one just came out recently. But I've heard really good things about it. People on BookTube really like this series, and I found this big hardcover for like $6 at McKay's, so I decided that that was a sign that I should go ahead and get this first book and read it at some point so I can see if I want to read the rest of the series. And lastly, from my McKay's trip, I have a book that my mom actually bought for me because she wants me to give it a try. And it's super, like, outside of my comfort zone, but I am very curious to give it a try. And that is Nightmares and Dreamscapes by Stephen King. This is one of his short story collections. And Stephen King is her favorite author, so she thought this may be a good way for me to kind of get into some of his stuff. because I don't like super duper scary things, which this sounds like it could be a little scary, but we'll see. The only thing I read by Stephen King is the first book in the Dark Tower series, which is The Gunslinger. I think that I'm going to save this for October and this be like a Halloween month-long read because it's ginormous and it will probably take me all month to read. So I'm very intrigued to see if I end up enjoying this when I do get to it. Next, I have another new release, and that is Leah on the Offbeat by Becky Albertalli. Again, I've already read this, and if you want my thoughts, check out my May wrap-up. But this is the kind of sequel to Simon vs. the Homo Sapiens Agenda, which follows Leah. And Leah is a drummer, and it's all their senior year in high school, but also Leah's hiding the fact that she's bisexual. I enjoyed this, highly recommend it. Like I said, check out my May wrap-up for a more in-depth review, but I also am just like super into this cover. I think it's super cute, but excited. I pretty much bought this like right after it came out because I was so excited because I love all of Becky's books. And then earlier in May, I found myself at a book signing for two authors over at Parnassus, Lily Anderson and Ashley Herring Blake, and so I picked up some of their books. Of course, Lily Anderson's book that just came out is Undead Girl Gang, and I have not read this yet, but I do hope to read it this month. But I enjoyed hearing her talk about it. So this is a YA book about a girl who's a Wiccan, and her best friend has died, and she thinks that there was some foul play, so she decides to bring her friend back from the dead, and then she accidentally brings back two other girls too. And I've heard that this is a really, really fun book, and I'm really looking forward to reading it, and also it's adorable. And then I also got two of Ashley's books as well. The first one being Girl Made of Stars, and this is a book about a girl whose brother's girlfriend accused him of raping her, and kind of how she deals with this and how she deals with the relationship with her brother, and also his girlfriend, who I believe is a friend of hers. Also, the main character is bisexual, and I believe she gets into a relationship with a genderqueer character, which is really cool. But I've heard that this book is very heart-wrenching, and I've also heard that it's very, very good from other booktubers who we usually have similar opinions, so I'm really, really excited about this. I read one book by Ashley Herring Blake before, How to Make a Wish, and I loved that book, so I'm really looking forward to picking this up, and I will be very soon. I also picked up another book that I didn't even know existed, and that is Ivy Aberdeen's Letter to the World. And so this is a middle grade novel by Ashley Herring Blake, which I think it's so cool that there is an LGBTQ book in the middle grade genre. I think that's really exciting. This is about a girl named Ivy. I believe she's 12, and her world kind of gets turned upside down when a tornado comes through, and so she loses a lot of her things, including her secret notebook, which she used to draw pictures of like girls holding hands and things like that, because she's hiding the fact that she's bisexual. Although I don't actually know if she knows that in the beginning of the novel yet, but Ashley did say that she's bisexual at the book signing. Those drawings start to appear in Ivy's locker, and so she's trying to figure out where they're coming from. I'm really excited about this. Like I said, I think it's really cool that she is branching out into the middle grade genre, and I think this is going to be a really good read. And lastly, I have the books from my May Owl Crate box. So May actually had two books in their box. The first of which is Catching Stars by Kayla Keenan. And this is a YA fantasy book. I don't remember a whole lot about the plot, to be honest. I think it has something to do with witch hunters. But I think this is a beautiful cover. I believe it was also an Owl Crate exclusive cover. And I'm excited to have an extra book that I wasn't even expecting. And the very last book I have to haul today is Sky in the Deep by Adrienne Young, which was the Owl Crate pick. And this has to do with Vikings and Lady Vikings, and it sounds really, really badass. And I'm really excited to read it. So that's all the books I have to haul today for the spring. Let me know down in the comments if you also have any of these books or have read any of these books, and I will see you guys next time with another video. Bye.